How did we go from a people who made sacred vows to God to a people who have lost everything? Once we were a people of faith, making sacred promises before God, 3 great vows, each answered with victory and prosperity. But today, our land is in ruin. Our people are divided, our history is being erased. Jan van Riebeeck foresaw this. Klaus became boss, and boss became Klaus. And if we do not return to our promises, we are doomed. It began with Jan van Riebeeck. On April 6, 1652, he landed at the Cape of Good Hope, not just to establish a settlement, but to dedicate this land to God Almighty. With solemn words he declared, "O Lord, let this be to the glory and honor of thy name and for the propagation of the true faith." And God blessed this land. The Boers flourished, towns grew, farms spread across the landscape, and wealth flowed in. But prosperity breeds forgetfulness. We grew comfortable and we forgot our dependence on God. And when a nation forgets its promises, judgment follows. Almost 200 years later, the Boers faced annihilation. Surrounded by thousands of Zulu warriors, death was certain. But our ancestors understood something. They were not just fighting a physical battle, but a spiritual one. So they knelt before God and made a sacred promise. "Lord, if you grant us victory, we will remember this day and honor you for generations to come." At dawn, on December 16, 1838, the battle began. 470 Boers against over 10,000 Zulus. The odds were impossible. Yet when the smoke cleared, not a single Boer had died. The river ran red with Zulu blood, a miracle. The Boers honored their vow. They established Geloftedag, the Day of the Covenant, to remember what God had done. But as time passed, we forgot again. The vow was neglected, and the warning was ignored. Then came the British. Greedy for our land, they took everything from us. The Boers gathered at Paardekraal in 1880, thousands of men standing before God, declaring that they would never bow before a foreign king. We vowed to fight for our independence, for our faith, for our people, and God answered. The First Boer War was won. The British, humiliated, were forced to acknowledge the Boer republics once more. But this victory was short-lived. Division and greed crept in. The Boers turned against each other, leaders quarreled, petty rivalries replaced the unity we once had. And when the British returned in 1899, the Boers stood alone. This time, there would be no easy victory. We were once a people who stood together. But as time passed, we lost our faith. We turned away from God and from each other. The Second Boer War, 1899 to 1902, was not just a war against the British. It was the judgment for our broken vows. Our women and children were thrown into concentration camps. Our farms were burned to the ground. Our freedom was crushed, and for the first time, the Boers bent the knee. God had given us everything, and we threw it away. The British took our land. Then came apartheid, then its fall. The ANC took control, and with it, South Africa collapsed into corruption and decay. Klaus became boss, and boss became Klaus. Our people are murdered on their farms. Our children have no future. We are strangers in the land our forefathers fought for. This is not just history. This is the reality we live in. And unless we wake up, the worst is yet to come. Jan van Riebeeck saw this long ago. He warned that if we did not return to God, thousands of Boers would die. He saw the chaos, the bloodshed, the suffering, and yet we continue to turn away from the truth. We are all guilty, including myself. Even I have neglected our history at times. Even I have forgotten the weight of our promises. But now we must remember, because if we do not, we are doomed. But it is not too late. We can still return. We can still remember our vows, reclaim our history, teach our children where we came from, rebuild our unity, stop the infighting, stand together, restore our faith, return to God, for without Him, we are nothing. The choice is ours. Will we learn from history or will we perish? The future of the Boers is not in the hands of politicians or foreign governments. It is in our hands and in the hands of God. What will we do with it?